Welcome to the Tree of Truth podcast with Lidstone and Lambeau. In this podcast, we search for common sense truth from a heightened human consciousness perspective. In doing so, we hope to someday raise and unite the willing minds of humanity up above the orchestrated confusion and dysfunction that so plagues our planet below. With us today is one of the most consequential human consciousness researchers of the 21st century, Alex Tsakiris. By consequential, I mean that his research has made a monumental difference in our understanding, but more importantly, it's created change for the better. To learn more about Alex Tsakiris, please see skeptico.com. That's skeptico.com. My pen name is Matt Lambeau, and I'm a novice human consciousness researcher and author. I shall represent the Western Hemisphere. With me in England is the lovable Lucinda Lidstone. She's a trained psychotherapist practicing for over 20 years, and she has her own very successful podcast called Talking Tea Leaves, which is featured on the growing YouTube alternative called One VSP. That's Talking Tea Leaves, found on the platform One VSP. Lucinda will represent the Eastern Hemisphere. Together, we are your East West connection in hopes of someday uniting the world around common sense truth, or what we call our Tree of Truth. You can find this podcast and everything else about Lidstone and Lambeau at treeoftruth.org. That's treeoftruth.org. With no further ado, let's welcome the lovable Lucinda Lidstone.
Okay.
All right, what were you going to
So
say?
yeah, so the paradox for me is that when I'm most struggling is when I least have a sense of the divine. Like mentally, I still do,
Mhm.
still have a belief, but when I most need to feel it is when I least feel it. And I think that's because fear and, as you said, strife and struggle, I think it disconnects us from that sort of place of trust. And I think that's why there's so much fear pumped at us, because whoever the powers that be are, they know that, don't they? They know that if they keep you in that, because it's a survival state, and the survival state is literally just about the physical body. It's not about your connection to anything larger. And so I think they know that, but that's
Yeah, no
really
doubt.
hard for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. And the thing that blows my mind is, what's their motive? It's just insane that there's human beings that walk this planet. And I guess we see it. I mean, look at what's happening in the Middle East. I mean, they're bombing each other to smithereens. And it's just amazing that your anger and fear can get to the point
Yeah.
where, and truth be told, for those two to be blaming each other, okay, because obviously it's two religions and two different indoctrinations. They see the world differently. But for them not to be able to rise above it and go, all right, wait a minute, there's UFOs in our fucking atmosphere.
Yeah.
Okay. Why, what, let's elevate this thing just a little bit further and figure out truly what it is where, you're going to have your little local politics and your disagreements. But I need somebody to explain to me why the Middle East is fighting and Minnesota and Wisconsin aren't,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And so I get it. And two, the moment I heighten it, I get into the George Orwell realm, where absolutely from the UFO down, they've always had control of the narrative in our minds.
Yeah. And after our conversation we had with Amy about the bloodlines, I was
Mhm.
really left with that question. I thought, well, okay, so let's take that as being possible. The ones right at the top of the pyramid, they've got all the money that you could ever want and more, zillion times over. They've got all the power that they need.
Mhm.
So why don't they just leave us alone to get on with it? What is that about? Really,
It,
other than I can only get to, it's just the work of darkness to want to create suffering, whether you see that as the devil or whatever, but you want to create suffering, and to it just as a sport, just to torment us, just to see, oh, like what can we conjure up now to torment the human race with? Because I just can't see what makes them tick.
Well,
I
so
can't
like
see.
let's use an example of the Nazis. Okay, just in other words, that's a perfect example in terms of where we all kind of witness, wow, this is really rancid evil. Okay, and they had all these willing participants in it, you know? And yeah, I'm not, again, I'm not sure how a person's mind could go into the darkness that deep. It has to be a case where um selfishness is, again, just simply put, I mean, our paradigm is unique to us alone. And if I'm selfish, I'm demanding that you guys conform to my vision. I
Mm.
want the world to unfold a certain way. And I swear it's just these people, it's been about them for so long. Like the people who end up wielding the power or whatever, maybe they just were never the thought of humility and doing things on behalf of others has just never been part of their program. I mean, do you know anybody like that? That the premise of running errands and doing something for someone else doesn't occur to them?
No, no. I mean, in my world, we would call them narcissistic at best, and at worst, a psychopath. But those kind of people don't come into therapy because they don't want to
Right, right,
correct the way they are.
right,
So
right. And so
they only ever
that
come
type of
into
person, right?
therapy.
That I'm sorry, sweetie.
No,
Um,
sorry.
that you, but whether they come into therapy or not, you're familiar with that type of person. That it's just the conscious consideration for other people's paradigms just doesn't cross their
Doesn't
mind.
exist. Mm,
Yeah, and so when I look at some of the things that I've read about, like Bill Gates,
mm,
it really took me to like Schindler's List.
mm.
Because Schindler's List, I believe there was a scene where the guy's just shooting people just for shits
Yeah,
and
for
giggles.
sport. Gets up in the
Yeah,
morning and just shoots. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
horrible.
and I don't see that any different than, messing around with viruses and shit. It's just
Mm,
got human guinea pigs, man,
mm.
you know? So, but again, that's the benevolent creator's problem. Bill
Well,
Gates
yeah,
is here.
and if you
Go ahead.
take that to its ultimate conclusion, once they've wiped out all of us lot off the planet, they'll end up turning on each other because that demon, whatever it is, will never stop wanting to be fed, will it? So they'll, even if they had their ultimate dream of only 500 million on the planet or whatever the figure is, um, it would never end there
It wouldn't,
because
because you can take it back to the cavemen. They were fighting each other, you know? It's just
it's
the
human
natural
bloody
instinct.
nature.
Yeah, and so would you say, uh, this battle between good and evil, okay, is part of our planet and probably could never, ever, ever be exercised. I mean, that there's just never
Yeah.
going to be, even if good wins, then evil will separate off and there'll become another battle. And would you say it's part of every world and every universe? It's just a
I don't
dichotomy of the universe.
I think it's part of being human, but I also do feel that there is, like, as there is an ultimate divine, I believe there's ultimate darkness. I believe both exist. So whether it, I don't know, is evil just a human thing, or is there this false evil that works through humans? I think the latter. I think that. So if there's evil in the universe, then one would imagine it does work through other species as well. And indeed, people that have say they've had contact with aliens will say that, won't they? Some of them are nice and helpful and want the best for us and protect us, and others are just downright evil.
Right.
Uh,
So, uh, yeah, so that's a dichotomy. Freedom versus control, good versus evil, whatever it might be. These dichotomies seem to me like they're universal in
mm,
every universe, that there's going to be this battle. And yeah, so then when we die and we go to the next frequency, it looks like the lines are drawn where you're either going to be in the darkness, you're going to be in the light, or there has to be this gray area where the earth is floating right now, where there's light and darkness, you
yeah,
know? Um, and uh Yeah, so it's crazy because I mean, there's this drive inside of most of us to make this world a better place. And that could be a complete exercise in futility if the creator is behind it, permitting the evil. We're fighting the creator in that regard. He wants things to go to a shit show because that's what we're going through. You know,
Well,
the
you probably know your New Testament better than I do, but many people who are spiritual and religious do think that we are in Armageddon, don't they? It's begun.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, if you look at the way it depicts it, again, and I'm not a Bible reader at all. I just have picked up pages because I was intrigued looking for things. Like I wanted to find out how many times Jesus Christ, the man, referenced the word homosexuality.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's telling me it's in the Bible. Okay,
Okay.
so I go, all right, how many times did Jesus say it? I don't care about anybody else. I just want to know what Jesus said. Zero. He never addressed it.
One way or the
But,
other.
huh?
I either condemned it nor he didn't mention it one way or the other.
Not that I could find. Nothing came
No.
from his mouth. Now, at times, he'll make reference to old scripture. Okay, the Old Testament. The scripture said, or this or that. But he didn't on that particular topic that I could find. Okay. And most people who got this big, they're homophobic or whatever, they just believe that's some sort of an anomaly. Their only fallback is it says it in the Bible. And so when I was in one of those discussions, I'm like, well, where did it say it? And it turns out if you go to the Old Testament, it makes references to it. Okay, but in a lot of the cases, it's making references along the lines of leprosy. That's not a choice, it's a disease, it's a disability or whatever. But either way, in the Old Testament, it was to be shunned and persecuted and all those good things. Which, if you look at the Old Testament, yeah, there's nothing godlike for somebody to say they're godlike, but yet pass all types of judgment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're just not walking those shoes. That
No.
person, whoever's being ridiculed or whoever's being burned or crucified, that person had the exact same, purpose as the guy who's crucifying him, and that's to come down to this planet and have it be unique to yourself alone. So it's
Yeah.
crazy shit. But yeah. So I mean, when it talks about one world government, and some of the things where the evil takes control, and then you have the rapture. And the cool part about the rapture, right?
Okay.
Are you familiar with that? Where people are,
No.
they're left behind.
Say again?
Okay, certain people are left behind. Like, in other words, there's a rapture, which means all these conscious souls that were in the right are taken to heaven.
Yes.
They're removed from Armageddon.
Yes.
Okay, and the rest of us are called left behind. There was a big video series on a movie series. You got left behind. And the ones who were left behind, a boatload of them are Christians. Going, wait a minute,
Okay.
why am I left behind?
Yeah.
Okay. And to me, that proves, again, if scripture's to be correct, it proves that it's not, because a lot of Christians will tell you it has nothing to do with your behavior. It's just accepting Christ into your life, which most Christians believe they've crossed that threshold.
So you can behave how you like as long as you're acknowledging.
Well, to be saved is again, I'm not proposing that's true. That's actually one of the things that I'm adverse as far as Christianity. But yes, you'll listen to many Christian pastors saying, and there's some truth to it. It's saying, listen, because of Jesus Christ, the new covenant, God is in agreement with the people between God. Here's saying you can be forgiven. You don't have to wait till you die to see if you're going to go through that penance. You can be forgiven and start new, like you're just born onto this planet today, and start a new life with me. Okay. Which there's some truth to that. I've been through it myself. It's a transformation in your mind that says, I accept everything in the past. I can't change it. All right, moving forward, I'm
For
going to
sure.
be more about other people like Jesus professes.
Yeah.
But So a lot of people lecture that says, listen, if you are saved, if you accept Christ as your savior, okay, that's it. Now you are one with Christ. And yes, regardless of your behavior moving forward, you've met the criteria. You got saved. Kind of like baptizing a kid at the outset.
Right.
Get this one over the threshold, now whatever. But the theory in Revelations, the left behind theory, is there's all kinds of Christians that were left behind. So that kind of proves, if you're going to move forward with those semantics, that says, no, 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 it's more than that. It's more than that, than just a belief in Christ. And of course, that's the way it is, of course, is because if you bring Christ into your life, if that, and again, I use the word Christ as just symbolic for, well,
Yeah.
what happened with that particular individual, but I believe there's a lot of paths to God. Okay.
Yes.
I believe
Yes.
Christ is a proven one that people can take and feel like they're in heaven while still on this planet. But I guarantee you, those little women who are all subjugated Muslim women and slaves and all that shit, listen, God has turned his back on nobody.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I believe that when you have that Christ in you, that it causes your behavior to change. You truly do become less selfish. You become more appreciative
Yes.
of what you got. And most importantly, you put other people first.
Yes.
And those are the people who are taken in the rapture.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
they're taken. And the ones who
Yes.
thought all I had to do was believe get left behind.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. At least that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, no. I agree. I agree entirely. And it's interesting. Do you know about the Magdalene laundries in Ireland? Do you know about the terrible things that happened there?
No, and because of your English accent, you're going to have to repeat that all one more time.
Okay. So it
No,
was the Magdalene laundries, as in Mary Magdalene, laundry as in washing your clothes, laundry.
okay.
Yeah.
Magdalene
So
Laundry.
so there were these big edifices called Magdalene laundries, and they sent so-called fallen women there. So if a young woman was raped and got pregnant, she would be sent there. If she was too pretty, she'd be sent there. So all of these poor women were sent there, and they were absolute slaving, like cleaning all the clothes, etc., treated really badly. But the nuns that were in charge of them were absolutely brutal, like abusive bullies. And some of the priests that would go and see them would rape them and abuse them. And I mean, it was just appalling. It was just so heartbreaking. And there's film of real stories, people saying what it was like there. I mean, absolute cruelty. And I just can't get over that. You're living as a nun, you're living as a priest, and you do the most abominable things to people. And I often think, how do you rationalize that in your mind?
Yeah,
That, what do you turn that person into so that you can abuse them in such a terrible way?
I couldn't agree more. And uh yeah, so they feel like they are one with the creator. And now that creator has empowered them to go out and clean up the world as they see fit.
Mm, yeah.
Okay. So I have a little theory when it comes to that.
Okay.
Okay. Because it's my Bible theory. All
Right.
right. So I believe words are mystical. Okay. A blank page is nothing but an opportunity to take somebody's mind somewhere. Right.
Yes. Love that.
Yep. Okay. Like a song. If you put on your headphones and you let the artist take you, he will.
Yes,
So same
indeed.
thing with words. Okay. And so when it comes to the Bible, because those words are mystical, it's a mystical book. All books are mystical for the most part, because the moment you start reading them, your mind's going to go where those words took you.
Yes,
All right.
yes. I love
And so
that.
in the case of the Bible, I believe it's mystical because it's the most ancient words. It's us human beings, all a bunch of fucking knuckleheads trying to figure it out. There's some people that go, hey, I'm a prophet. I was on the other side. Okay, well, listen to that guy. We're collecting words here. This guy seems like he's smart. So, as best these dumb human beings can collect that, they did so. Okay. And in there is a bunch of words that are prophetic without question. Love your neighbor, you'll get joy. You know, make God part. I mean, so there's all kinds of words. And so, but I believe the Bible is truly doesn't need to be read. I believe that whatever the creator wants to say to you will be on the first page when you open it. Doesn't matter what volume, doesn't matter what, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're going to start flipping pages and all of a sudden some words are going to resonate with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the creator talking to you. So now here's the caveat. And that is when you're reading the Bible, if you for a moment think that the words you're reading apply to anybody but yourself, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're misinterpreting the Bible. They are only for you. If it mentions the word homosexual, it's for somebody other than you. It's not saying it's not, you get what I'm saying? And what happens is they read these things and they go, this is the way that God wants the world to be. And
Yeah.
they draw this conclusion that it wasn't just speaking, this is what God wanted you to be. They
Yes.
draw this conclusion that this is my mission now to go out and get others to be what God wanted them to be.
Yes.
And so that's why most, pastors, even though they got a good message, they're full of shit. So, I mean, it's just their paradigm. Now, some of them are really good. The pastor I have at my church is the coolest thing. I've never seen it before because everything's from a logic, human consciousness perspective. On Easter, it was just great because he's going, listen, and I buy into this. You can have all these testimonies about Jesus or read the Bible or all these things. What matters is what happened in the world, the transformation that happened. In other words, if it was nothing but hearsay, you wouldn't have had these monumental changes happen on our planet. And so, because of that, uh, there was something about this guy. Okay. And the pastor's logic is because that's real. This guy did do this. Whether you believe it or not, there was something happened of monumental proportion. And because that's real, then what he's telling you is also real. And when he's saying you're loved and there's a creator and you'll be coming home and all these good things. So he's saying just logically, don't fight it. Yeah, there's no reason logically to object to any of this stuff. But what I am telling you is that if you make this stuff part of your life, we have some that just on Easter, go to church on Easter. That's fine. Okay. But that energy you're getting from us today is something Jesus or God wants to dose out to you nonstop every waking moment. And you've got your own volition. So to me, that's just logic. It's not saying you're doing it wrong. It's helping you understand why somebody should come to their own conclusions.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
And
100%.
I marvel at the people who can articulate like that, like a 40-minute dissertation, but just freaking nailed. It's crazy. That capability. So anyways, what say
But
you?
ultimately, even with all of that dedication and spiritual practice and even with all of that, we constantly fail, don't we? As humans, we constantly fail.
How do you define failure?
Well, in the sense of we constantly hurt other people when we don't mean to necessarily. We hurt ourselves. We make mistakes. We behave badly, you know.
Well, none of us were programmed with AI, right? They're making us grow from a baby and learn this shit from a textbook. You know, it's just you just can't hold the human accountable when they're so stupid, and we're lied to and all these, I mean, but with that said, yes, you're 100% correct that the moment you leave that energy field, wherever you're getting it,
Oh,
you know, the moment you leave it is back into the darkness.
yes, yes,
Yep,
yes.
and how quickly we fall. Um, But the big conundrum again is, well, why try to, why fight any of this stuff? Which is what I think Alex is one that believes just let go of thinking altogether.
Well,
Don't
yeah,
even,
well, yeah.
Right. So he understands where true peace resides. But I don't know
But
if
you
my
can't live in that. You
insurance
see,
company is going to take that for payment, huh?
that's my beef with people such as Alex. I mean, I think he's probably a bit of a Buddhist. I don't know, but he does a lot of yoga, doesn't he? So he's in that space, that expansive space of
Right, right.
non-mind
Mhm.
a lot. But I think that misses the point of being human, because I think we're meant to visit those spaces. I don't think you can't live in those spaces because it's not living on Earth, is it? It's living in some other kind of dimension.
Right. And maybe he's not proposing it, do it, like a monk that
No, no,
says
no,
for
because
life.
that's the only way
But
to do it, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Again, to free your, because all of the thought processes, anything, and this is what's cool about his book and like the Max Planck and the materialism and all that stuff, because there's such a dichotomy. It's either from this world, it emits from our brain. We're stuck in this material thing we call this time-space continuum with gravity and all its cool things, or we're not.
Yeah.
We're not. We're incarcerated, we're trapped, you
Yeah.
know? And if the latter is true, which only one can be right. So all of the evidence conceivable to mankind supports either one or the other to be true. The rest is bullshit. And
Yeah.
so if it's true, um, then without question, I mean, to take time to meditate, to escape it as they do is crucial piece of the puzzle.
Hmm.
Because otherwise here's the analogy I like to use. You know, a pinball machine. So when you're in the material world, you're the pinball.
Yes,
Okay. And
you
as soon as
are.
you escape the material world, you're now the pinball player.
Yes.
That makes
Love
sense.
that.
Yeah.
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 I tell my kids that be the pinball player, rise
Yeah.
above it.
Yeah.
But be nice to
I
get
think,
Alex's thoughts on that.
yeah, I think that's another great paradox, being a parent,
Oh,
because you get to when they're grown up and you think, shit, I now realize everything I did wrong, but it's too late. You've already messed them up
but
and you can't go back.
well, and the beauty is you got this to fall back on. Everything you did wrong was by design of a benevolent creator, so these people could suffer the punches they needed.
I'll tell them that next time they're moaning
Yeah,
at me.
all my kids, man, every mistake I made, you can thank the creator because you are
I
here for
don't
the
think that's going to do
difficulty, and
it.
I'm here to embellish your difficulty at times. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's paradox, as you say, crazy stuff. But yeah. So like again, what drives me the most is just this disagreement and dysfunction. Red Cross.
Red Cross.
Yeah, no, Red Cross. That's them. I like to give. I got O negative blood, so
Oh,
I like to
okay.
donate the power red they call it, where they take out my blood, they suck all the whatever it is out of it, the important stuff, and then they shove it back in me. Dude, we're
Okay.
nothing. We're just robots. That was a cool thing that I think it was on Alex's podcast. Yeah. If you ever, I forget what the guy's name is, but he talks to this brilliant thinker in his anniversary shows.
Yeah.
And that
Oh,
guy was,
yes. Um,
yeah,
oh, bugger, what's his
he's
name?
from your side of the world.
Yes.
Don't worry
Yes, I
about it.
know. I love him. I love him. I think he's
It's
great.
simply amazing. But that's too, see, that's the type of thought, that type of conversation is so elevated. And they ended up talking about, again, if you look at our human body, for the most part, if we break it down, the DNA is zeros and ones. So we're as close to an AI robot as you get, but yet we got feelings and all these different things. And so, given that the body is discarded like a used tissue when we're done with it, I mean, the thing starts stinking in about an hour.
Yeah.
You know, it's gross. I know. But anyway, so the spirit escapes it. Okay. And what's the probability that that spirit can now just go into an AI body? You know,
I
discard
don't
the human
know.
one, you know?
I don't know. Do you think that's a question that I was going to ask Alex. Does he think that AI is going to become so evolved that whatever spirit is will be inhabiting AI?
There you go. It's a great
Yeah.
question. Yeah. And in the comes down to God. But literally the human body in the direction that AI is on, especially cloning and all this stuff they've already figured out, it is so close to just you won't know if the spirits came. And now taking that a step further is if you go into the UFO concept where they're
Yeah.
walking amongst us or this or that. And
Yeah.
again, go into any small town bar, you know, that has your all your walks of life, especially the downtrodden type,
Yeah.
not downtrodden, but lower. And the cast of characters is no different than a movie from Star Wars.
Yes.
They're all unique and they got all
Yes.
these different lives going on. The only thing that's different from the Star Wars movie is they're all got human faces. But without question, they can be from any place. And some are
Yeah.
dangerous, some are perverted, some are Jesus
Yep.
like, just the
Yep.
craziest thing. And then you couple that with the whole thing is an illusion. Again, those people don't even exist unless they walk into your paradigm or into your matrix. They just simply don't exist at all, as far as you're concerned. You know what I mean? That type of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's this
Yeah.
big, we're spirits. We come down to this planet for this exercise. We're trying to figure it out and make it a better place, but we're not sure that's even important. That the sooner we get to the rapture is in all of our best interests. We're best to just let evil take over. We don't know. We don't know. Um, but now imagine again, once you die, imagine you're above the planet. All these NDEs have this view of the planet down below and can see the energy fields and all that stuff. And just imagine looking down and understanding the purpose of evil and being able to witness where it is and to be able to witness those that are about to encounter it, you know. That's just it's crazy stuff. Now that's called ruminating, and that's a what's the word for it? What and a curse? It's a something and a curse. Like it's good and bad.
A blessing and a curse.
Blessing and a curse. Thank you.
Yeah.
So to be thinking that deep into things is certainly
Mm.
a blessing in one regard, but it's
Hmm.
also a curse because now you know you got your arms around this problem and it's arguably unsolvable.
Yeah.
So
My dad used to say to me years ago, he would say, "Why do you complicate your life with all of these things?" He was just
amen.
like, just get on with the mundane daily life and stop thinking about all this shit because it's just doing your head in.
He couldn't be more accurate, right? Because there's a case ignorance is bliss.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
But with you, me, Alex, we're in our different ways. We're truth seekers, and you just can't. If that lives in you, you can't help it, can you?
it's your spirit. It's
Yeah.
unruly. Instead of just relaxing and saying, "Yep, I'm just going to take what's mine and be peaceful with it," you've got this unruly part that wants to make the world a better place or to help people out of the darkness or whatever it is. And that is no different, seriously, than the difference between you and an angel. All of us, truth seekers, or anybody that's reaching to help pull others from the darkness, we're no different than angels. We just have bodies,
Yes. Yes.
you know? Except I think when we come down here with an angel, you know, again, if you're in the other frequencies just helping, you're not in the pinball machine creating part of the mess. Like you said, inadvertently, we hurt people. We could have this complete absence of malice, which I believe I do.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why animals love me.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
really like that when you can just tell dog I pet every dog that walks by. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Just because they
animals
look
will
at you.
straight away tell you, won't they, whether someone's worth trusting or not? Straight away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They feel your energy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
their tail starts wagging and yeah, they just
Yeah.
like it. Um, but all right, so let's switch to Donald Trump.
Okay.
All right. So do you guys get a lot of news? You still only have access to the BBC is certainly like your network, or do you have like Fox News and all these alternatives coming out of the States?
Yeah, you can look all of that stuff up on YouTube. Of course you can. I mean,
Right, but so
I don't watch any sort of, I don't watch, certainly wouldn't watch the BBC. I don't watch any sort of mainstream stuff
yeah, yeah. Well, why is that?
because it's just not true, is it, in any sense at all?
All right. Yep. Is there any chance? And I'm with you. I have not watched politics for at least, since COVID, just because all it did was take me to frequencies of anger
Mm,
and frustration.
mm.
But times are changing. What does the BBC have to say about Trump or not, or anybody? Because here's the part that I think is changing is um for my entire lifetime, it's been nothing but a Democrat Republican battle. Okay. I saw like Ronald Reagan was the closest one that believed in my ideals, less government, freedom, controlling the powers that be, central powers. Um, but he was still part of the Republican apparatus, which means some of his ideas were implemented, lowered taxes, caused our economy to explode, but massive spending to appease the other side. Okay. And so but yet you had your Republicans that didn't like Reagan. They fought within the party. But where Trump is different is the Republican apparatus actually absolutely loathes the guy. And they loathe him because of what he says, because he's drained the swamp, more freedom, less government, those types of things. And so as Trump, and then obviously he got in election. So when Trump was elected in 2016, now that's a fun time to watch the BBC because they're beside themselves. They cannot believe that there's people in this world that aren't conforming to their narrative. How could this guy possibly have won? And so I'm seeing a lot of that now. If you look at the swing states and things, I mean, Trump is when he won the thing in a landslide, the primaries to where he's the nominee. Then he went into the financial apparatus, the Republican net, all about the fundraising and put his people in. So he literally is from the outside in a revolution, January 6th type scenario, taking over the party. So I've always been a believer that you can't change the party from within.
Mm.
Okay, but he's not changing it from within. He's throwing them all out. He's changing it from without. Anyway, so as a political junkie, these are kind of cool times. And I love going to the channels that are, in my opinion, dishonest and watch them eat crow, watch them try to come to terms with this. Now, here's the big uncertainty because everybody's got their reservations about Donald Trump, and all I can base it on is I've listened to political commentary or political narratives for the better part of my life. And what he says, what matters to him, making America great, those types of things, I believe bodes well for the entire world. So he's telling me, he's speaking my language, dead on accurate, and he's throwing punches. Now, the question is when they get power, does everything change? And that's what his adversaries are afraid of. They're afraid this guy's a dictator. That if you give this guy power because of his thirst for it right now, that there's going to be what was a compassionate America First agenda now becomes Donald Trump's agenda for himself. So that's the big question, and I don't see it. I mean, the guy is. I don't know how much you pay. Do you ever watch all the shit he does? Like, do you
No.
realize he accused our president of doing drugs yesterday?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, but in
I
this
reckon it
regard,
does.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's just got a shit-eating grin on his face too. So they ask him, "Are you going to debate Biden?" Okay, and Biden's all decrepit or what be
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Donald Trump, like, absolutely, anytime, any place, but I don't think he'll do it.
No, won't
He
be
goes
capable.
because if you would look at the State of the Union, remember we talked a little bit about
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
the
yeah,
speech he
yeah,
gave?
yeah,
He goes, the guy was all hopped up on drugs.
yeah,
He goes, I heard all
yeah,
things about this is a presidential candidate talking about our sitting president. Going, I heard about cocaine in the White
yeah,
House and all these things. Now I'm not here to tell you he's doing cocaine, but I'm here to tell you that guy was on something.
yeah,
And so the only
yeah,
way I'm going to debate him is if they give us both a drug test before it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, that's my kind of fighting.
Well, yeah, but you see, this is what I don't understand about you, because I think it's just theatre.
If
I think it's
theater,
absolute. I think it's just theatre, just to keep us interested, or to make us to feel like there's a hope, and there really isn't. Because if you go back to when we were talking about the bloodlines, government is way, way down the bottom, towards the bottom of the pyramid. And I think anybody that gets any kind of traction at all, particularly in your country, I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. I just think it's
well,
just another
so when you say way down the bloodlines, okay,
right,
because
way down the bottom of the pyramid.
right down the bottom of the pyramid, okay, because I agree with you to a degree, but I'm not sure how far the president of the United States is down that pyramid. You know what I mean? There's some power brokers on this planet. They start with the families,
Yeah.
okay, but then, uh,
But
but I
that's
mean,
that's my point. That's my point. That I think anybody in any position of power has been put there. Like, let's take Justin Trudeau. He was absolutely groomed from day one, and told he was going to be,
oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, now
yeah,
that's definitely true within the political mechanism. Like,
yeah,
in other words, within the Republican Party, they're grooming their next person. That's
yeah,
exactly what the Democrats did with Obama. The guy was a senator for 2 years and he became president.
yeah,
He was just groomed within the party because he had the right look and language and all those things. Yeah,
yeah.
without question, that's the inherent corruption within any government organization. Okay, but I'm telling you, the Trump thing is a revolution.
You
It's
think
not
so?
from within, huh?
You think
I think
so?
so. Yeah, well, again, in my opinion, and it's just an observation from my perch here, but having followed it so long, there's some things we can fall back on over the history. Now, again, to confirm what you're saying is, trust me, if the powers that be, the top of the pyramid, want this guy gone and want the world to go in a different direction, he ain't got a prayer.
Yeah.
Okay, but right now we're playing this game called democracy on the planet. Okay,
Are we? Are we?
yeah, and
Are
again,
we?
again, in America, again, the problem with the elections this is where I think Trump is just different. He's different than anything I've ever seen.
He's the
Okay.
Antichrist, maybe.
Well, that's the unanswered question, because if the way this guy is moving, the words that he's saying are that of John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, I mean, those types of things, and they're resonating in this country. Things like unions, the poor people, always voted Democrat. Always, okay. Like, the Democrats are for the poor, Republicans are for banks. That's the way it's been. The narrative has been the whole time. What's happening is Trump is winning over all the unions and all the poorest. Most of his supporters are the poorest people in America. So he completely flipped the script. Those that are for Biden are just the affluent. He flipped the script because he's what you call a populist. Okay, that he's going to go in and his political views are going to be derived from the problems he feels he needs to fix. But anyways, where he's different than others is saying any Democrat or Republican establishment candidate would go, I know how to fix the problem. We need to tax the rich more and we need to give it to you guys. Okay, we need to redistribute the wealth, right? And so Trump walks in and says, no, I know how to help you guys. We got to stop letting the illegals come in and take your jobs. Okay. And we have to create economic prosperity to where the cars are selling and everybody's got jobs. that type of thing. So one is completely rational, the other's nothing but a pandering. So again, I come across like a Trump proponent, which I am, just because again, it wouldn't matter if it's Trump or Obama or if it's the most beautiful transgender on the world. If he's saying the same language and fighting this fight, I would support him.
Okay, well, are we going to still support Alex Tsakiris because it's 6:15 here?
Oh, is it really? We've been going for
yeah.
He's fired.
He that's yeah.
Don't let that get you. There's going to be a logical reason why. The one thing we can count on is he didn't do it on purpose to us. He's not that type of person.
No,
he's not going to do that. He's too polished for that. Right? He's not into what it is a bit peculiar, because you and I, we're important.
Yeah.
And for anybody to fail to see that, well, and I won't even put this out unless we can figure out capture the essence of what I don't know. Yeah. What? No,
there's probably some interesting stuff in the middle.
Huh? I said it's always up to you if you want it promoted or not, but I'm sure what would I put for a topic here?
Rambling.
The conversation in the absence of Alex Tsakiris.
Yeah. I love it. I love
that dick.
Well, I'm really can't wait to hear what his reason for not turning up is.
Well, I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything.
Okay, my darling.
All right. All right. This is going to be fun, man. All right.
I'm laughing because neither one of us can ever shut the fuck up.
I know. That's the beauty of it. And the beauty of the two of us, what separates us from the rest of the planet, that yaps, everything we say is profound. They just don't know it.
Well, we think it is.
It is. We're it, man. We're the bomb. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I love you, my friend.
All right, my darling.
I'll keep you posted. And if it's any time between, my guess is we'll reschedule it between now and next week, but we'll see.
All right, my darling.
I'll be the first to know.
All right.
Love you. Give your family your loved ones a hug. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.